She gave him everything: his visa, his new life, his future. And this is how he repaid her. But to understand how we got here, we have to go back. Back to a Walmart in Venezuela, where a 32-year-old man swept floors and dreamed of a life he could barely imagine. His name was Jose. And every single night, he looked up at the sky and asked for just one thing: a chance. He didn't know that chance was about to walk through the door of the very store where he worked. Her name was Brenda, 28 years old, a dual citizen of Venezuela and America. And unlike anyone Jose had ever met, she carried her wealth quietly. Their eyes met over a checkout counter, and something neither of them expected began to take root. She came back the next day, and the next, until one afternoon, she finally asked for his number. What started as small conversations turned into hours on the phone. Jose had never felt so seen. Weeks later, Brenda learned about his dream, the one he never told anyone: to live in America. She didn't just listen, she acted. Brenda began the paperwork to bring Jose to California, no strings attached. For a man who'd spent his life mopping floors for minimum wage, it felt like a fairy tale. Almost too good to be true. Months of processing, months of waiting. And finally, the day arrived. Jose boarded a plane for the very first time in his life. Behind him, everything he knew. Ahead of him, everything he'd dreamed of. Brenda was waiting for him at the arrivals gate in Los Angeles, and when their eyes met again, it felt like fate. He held her tight and whispered a promise. "I will never give you a reason to regret this." California welcomed Jose like nothing he'd ever known. Palm trees, ocean air, a life out of a movie. Brenda's home was nothing like the small house he grew up in. It had a view of the whole city. But what struck Jose most wasn't the money. It was how Brenda never once used it to make him feel small. She helped him enroll in English classes. She helped him get his first job on American soil. Every night, they'd sit on the balcony and talk about the future. A future Jose swore he wanted with his whole heart. Friends said Brenda was crazy. "You don't know him. You just met him." She didn't listen. Love made her sure. A year passed. Jose had a job, a car, a community. Everything Brenda had promised, she delivered. But somewhere in that comfort, something in Jose began to shift. Slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. New job, new co-workers, new faces. And with new freedom came new temptation. It started small. A compliment here, a late-night text there. Jose told himself it meant nothing. But nothing stays small forever. Meanwhile, at home, Brenda had no idea. She was busy planning something beautiful. 2 years since he landed. 2 years of love, sacrifice, and trust. Brenda believed they were ready for forever. She didn't know that the man she trusted completely was already living a double life. One night, Jose came home late. Brenda didn't ask questions. She just smiled and kissed him hello. That kind of trust is rare, and it's exactly what makes betrayal cut the deepest. But somewhere across the city, a phone buzzed. A message Jose never meant for Brenda to see. It sat there, glowing, waiting, a single notification about to change everything. Brenda reached for it, not to snoop, but out of habit. And what she saw made her stomach drop. A private conversation. Intimate, unmistakable. Everything Brenda believed shattered in an instant. She confronted him the moment he walked through the door. Jose's face went pale. There was no story he could tell, no lie big enough to cover this. "How could you?" Brenda whispered, her voice breaking on every word. Jose fell to his knees. He begged. He pleaded. He swore it would never happen again. Brenda didn't sleep that night. She sat alone with the decision only she could make. By morning, she made her choice, not because she trusted him again, but because she loved him enough to try. "I forgive you," she said, "but there will not be a second time." Jose swore on his life he'd never break her heart again. In that moment, he meant it. Slowly, the wound began to heal. Slowly, laughter returned to their home. 2 weeks after the storm, Brenda brought up something she'd been holding on to for a while. "Let's get married," she said. "Let's build a family. I don't want to wait anymore." Jose smiled, took her hand, and said yes. It felt like their second chance was finally complete. They started planning immediately. A venue, a date, a guest list. Everything felt possible again. Brenda booked a private marriage consultation, the first real step toward forever. But healing a wound doesn't erase what caused it. And somewhere, a secret from Jose's past was still growing. A woman Jose thought he'd left behind. A secret he never told Brenda. She'd made a decision of her own, and she was done staying silent. The morning of the consultation arrived. Brenda picked out her outfit with hope in her heart. Jose straightened his tie in the mirror, unaware that his past was already on its way to his front door. As they walked toward the front door, ready to leave for the most important appointment of their lives, the doorbell rang. Brenda opened the door, and standing there was a face she'd never seen before. The stranger's eyes moved past Brenda and locked onto Jose. Jose's blood ran cold. He knew exactly who she was. "I need to talk to you," the woman said, her hand resting gently on her stomach. Brenda's eyes moved slowly down to where the woman's hand rested. Time seemed to stop. "Jose is the father," the woman said quietly. "I'm 4 months pregnant." The words landed like a physical blow. Brenda staggered back a step, gripping the doorframe. She turned to Jose, waiting, praying he would deny it. But Jose said nothing. His silence was louder than any confession. That silence confirmed everything Brenda feared. Her whole world folded in on itself. "How long?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The other woman answered honestly. It had been going on since before the first time Brenda caught him. The forgiveness Brenda had given him, the trust she'd rebuilt, none of it had ever been real. Jose finally spoke. "Brenda, please, let me explain." She raised her hand. She didn't want to hear it. The marriage consultation would never happen. Not that day, not ever. Brenda asked the woman to leave first, with a promise she'd make this right for the child, whatever it took. Then she turned to Jose, and the man who had once called her the love of his life became a stranger. "Pack your things," she said, calm, final. No anger left, only exhaustion. Jose fell to his knees again, but this time his tears meant nothing. "I gave you everything," Brenda said. "My name, my country, my trust, and you gave someone else a child." Jose begged her to reconsider. "We can still get married. I'll take care of the child from a distance. Please, Brenda." Brenda shook her head slowly. "I can't build a family with a man who's already building one somewhere else." She walked to the closet and pulled out his suitcase, the same one he'd arrived with 3 years ago. She set it down in front of him without a word. The silence said everything words couldn't. Jose packed slowly, hoping she'd change her mind with every passing minute. She never did. He looked around the home they'd built together. Every memory now felt like a lie. He reached the front door and turned back one last time. "I really did love you, Brenda." Brenda's voice cracked as she answered. "I know. That's what makes this so hard." Jose stepped outside. The door closed behind him, quietly, but with the weight of finality. He stood on the porch he used to call home, suitcase in hand, with absolutely nowhere to go. Behind the door, Brenda slid down against the wall and finally let herself break. She had given a stranger a visa, a home, a family, and her whole heart. And he had given her nothing back but heartbreak. Outside, Jose walked down the driveway alone, the California sun setting behind him. He had no apartment of his own, no savings, no family in this country, just the mistakes he'd made. Everything Brenda had built for him, he had thrown away with his own hands. Days later, Brenda made a decision of her own. She would help raise the child, not for Jose, but because the baby was innocent. It was a decision that surprised everyone who knew her, shattered in an instant. But Brenda had always been stronger than her pain. Jose, meanwhile, found himself sleeping in his car outside a gas station, replaying every choice that led him there. He thought about calling Brenda every single day. Every single day, he stopped himself. Months later, Brenda stood in a nursery she never expected to help build, for a child that wasn't hers, but deserved love anyway. She had lost the man she loved, but she never lost herself. As for Jose, he was left to rebuild everything from nothing, this time with no one to help him. Two lives that once shared one dream, now walking in completely different directions. Brenda gave a stranger a life in America. He gave her a broken heart and a lesson she'll never forget. So now I ask you, if you were Brenda, would you have forgiven Jose a second time? Comment below. And if this story moved you, follow for part 2.